All right, thank you for staying with us. The Federation Accounts Allocation Committee disbursed 2.08 trillion naira to local government councils between July and December 2024. But surprisingly, the funds were still routed through state government accounts despite a landmark Supreme Court ruling in July 2024 granting full financial autonomy to Nigeria's 774 local government areas. This move has drawn criticism from officials and members of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria and the National Union of Local Government Employees, who argue that direct payment to local government accounts is essential for promoting autonomy and ensuring proper utilization of funds. The Supreme Court ruling explicitly directed that funds meant for local governments should bypass state governments and be paid directly into their accounts. However, 6 months later, the federal government has yet to implement direct payment, citing, quote, practical impediments, end quote. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, revealed that a committee has been established to assess the practicability of the judgment. This development has sparked concerns among local government officials who are eager to assume control of their finances and deliver essential services to their communities. Joining us via Zoom from Kwara State is public affairs analyst and advocate of good government, or governance rather, Ishowo Olanriwaju. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Few hours out there. Good morning.
All right. Now, it seems like it's a long walk to the implementation of the matter of financial autonomy for local governments, as it is, saying that there are certain technical impediments, according to the federal government. That's why, these monies were not transferred to them. What do you make of this explanation?
Actually, I was so surprised when I heard about the response from the federal government, because most of us are eager to see the importance of the judgment delivered almost 6 months ago by the Supreme Court on the readiness of the current administration to make the money available for the local government to work for the local government. Unlike the previous administrations, that the governors across the federation have been dipping their hands into the money belonging to the local government. And to a large extent, that has reduced the level at which the local government administration ought to have supposed to have grown in need of delivery of good governance. And this judgment, we are all registered our economy on the side of federal government by taking the bull by the horn. If I could remember, the immediate past administration tried to ensure that the money meant for local government worked for the local government. Unfortunately, the former president took the wrong direction by issuing the executive order. Unfortunately, the governors, regardless of the party affiliations, came together and ensured that they frustrated that particular order. But because of the current administration, because the president of the nation today is aware and truly understands the best way to go, and when he has a kind of attorney general we're having today, Fagbemi, is known in judicial roadmap in Nigeria, and he used the best way to go by suing the 36 governors before the Supreme Court, seeking for the interpretation of the law that has to do with JAC, because most of these governors have been hiding under the JAC as a way, to ensure the money belongs to the local government. But as it is today, after 6 months, when some of us have thought that things will take shape immediately after the judgment. But one thing around that issue that I thought affected was the position of the local government in the hands of the governors. Because at that time, when the judgment was delivered, less than 50% of the state, less than 18 states had conducted their local government to be elected under the democratically elected, administration. So they were given certain ultimatum. And within 3 months, those states that have failed to conduct the local government election, they should, as a matter of urgency, conduct the local government election. My own state here happened to be one of the states that had not conducted the election that time. May I tell you that it took the current administration almost 5 years ruling the state without being elected without the elected local government, administration. But as soon as the current administration at the center issued the ultimatum, my governors and others, came together that there's no way for them than to conduct the election. So having conducted the election, notwithstanding that, have the reservations about how the election went, not only in Kwara State, but in most of the states. I would rather brand it as a governor forum agenda. Governor forum agenda is in the sense that if you are in PDP, they ensure that all the PDP candidates won the election. If you are in APC, they ensure that all the APC won the election. NNPP, ABGA. So if you now look at it, it's goes beyond the party affiliation. Rather, it's a forum disposition that our own party must win that election. And that is why people like us are calling. If that should be the case, that area needs to be reviewed, where the INEC is going to conduct election, at least to ensure that the people's participation during the election prevail at the end of the day. Come to the question you ask. Why is it that there are some impediments? I thought that the federal government ought to have looked into all these areas that seem to be impractical in nature. But I heard from the coordinating minister talking about there are some areas they need to look into it, that they have constituted another committee to look into it. For instance, I discovered that in some states, the payment of primary school teachers, junior secondary school teachers, health workers at the local government is being paid under the local government resources. And some states ensure that only the primary school teachers, health workers, and local government staff are getting or drawing their salaries from the local government resources. But the question is, why we don't have a uniform approach? If there is any more interpretation of law, is it the local government that's supposed to be paying the junior secondary school? For instance, in my state, if I could remember, before the current administration, when the retirees at the local government level took the immediate past administration to court, that close to 421 million naira is being used to pay the junior secondary school from the money belonging to the local government. They won this case around 19th, April 2019. Up to this moment, it is the local government that are still paying the money, the salaries of the junior secondary school. I don't know how much it might have been got. When we are talking about the time when it was 80,000 minimum wage, that it was 421. When 30,000 minimum wage was implemented, how much it would have been? Now 70,000 naira. You discover that the money ought to have been around 700 or 800 million. If you are now paying the salary of junior secondary school, that the court in this state has made it to be illegal, unconstitutional, to be paying for the local government post, what do we expect? What could have remained in the hand of local government to do some developmental projects? So for us, we think the area like this needs to be looked into. Is it a uniform approach from the governors? If it is a uniform approach, are they the ones that are supposed to be paying the money for the junior primary school across the federation? And if it is not, there is need for intervention. I think this is one of the impracticable areas that the federal government look into by the committee constituted by the coordinating minister.
All right, interesting. So if we look at what the coordinating minister actually said, in saying practical impediments, which he also mentioned as a reason for delays in transferring local government funds directly. So some of these challenges, if you recall that Supreme Court also ruled that the withheld funds for River State should go directly to the local government, that they should not withhold the fund, meaning that the Fubara actually won the case against his predecessor, Wike, and all the impediments that actually came up. What do you think should be the way forward? Because it looks like it might be a beginning of a long battle between federal, state, and even local government when it comes to financial autonomy.
I think the problem actually resides around the governor forum, because long before now, when people are attacking the National Assembly, if I could remember during the 7th Assembly in 2013, there were bills that met for the public hearing. At that time, it was Honorable Moshood Mustafa that happened to be our House of Rep member. We have Ali Ahmad from Ilorin South and Ilorin East. They came back home and threw the issues before the public. And I discovered that majority of Nigerians supported the local government autonomy. Part of the issues that attracted the public hearing was the issue of state policing. And I'm happy that we have achieved that of local government autonomy via the Supreme Court interpretation. The issue of state police is at the center of the National Assembly now. I think the governor has been called upon to submit their template. It means that we are getting there, even after 11 years. But in essence, in this matter, the problem lies with the state's House of Assembly, not the National Assembly. Since the 7th, that have been aware with the development in Nigeria, the 8th Assembly, the 9th Assembly, even this 10th Assembly are the national. They have been supporting whatever from the government that has to do with the public interest, especially on the two areas I mentioned. But unfortunately, because of the nature of Nigerian federalism, and which I believe that is how it's supposed to be, it requires to touch of the 36 states. It means that we must get not less than 24. Most of these issues, at the time it went to state assemblies, we discovered that to garner that to touch, it requires extra effort. And that alone has been delaying certain issues that also have been addressed that we go with line in federalism, the tenet of federalism. So on this matter, if the federal government eventually agree with the nature, the way they think this is to be done, this impediment they are talking about, of course, the minister in charge has not actually highlighted, but I know that it has to do with payment. There's some money that's supposed to be handled by the state, but rather push it to the local government, and that alone is making local government to be financially incapable to handle this matter. And let me say this, one of the areas, if the current administration at the center want to assist us, they need to look into the revenue formula. As of today, federal government is getting 52%, while the state is getting something higher than the local government. And when you look at the bulk of activities, it has been pushed down to the local government. Can't you revive it so that the allocation will be encouraging at the local level? Because they have a lot of things to be done. And no matter what, in as much as the federal government cannot take the responsibility of the states, they have concurrent, the state cannot take the responsibility of the local government. It must be done pari passu. If what is meant for the federal government at the exclusive list is being tackled, that of the concurrent, state and federal being tackled, and the residual aspect of it is part of the local government. But unfortunately, state governors have been taking over all this, and they don't have the wherewithal to go to the extra remote area where the councillors can come up with the challenges facing his own people, where the local government chairman, through the budget presentation, will do this assessment. As of today in my own state, we have conducted the election almost 3 months ago. This is December. They have not constituted even the cabinet of the local government. So we only elected local government and the deputy or the vice. They don't have supervisory councillors to this moment, no secretary to this moment. They have not presented budget that are going to, address the
quickly, because of our time. So because of our time, I just want us to make judicious use. I know there's so much you have to say. But do you think that the Supreme Court's directive will be fully implemented at the end of the day with the practical impediments that we are seeing?
If the all hands are on deck, the president has done the needful by channeling the ways through the legal means, which is Supreme Court. All this impediment we are talking about, it can also be reviewed if the interest of their respective states, if the development of their respective states is paramount on the minds of the governors. As of today, we have seen some governors, even after the Supreme Court judgment, they have enacted another state law. One of them is the one embarked upon by the Professor Soludo in Anambra State. And I know some will still follow Soludo. So if Soludo is succeeded on this, definitely that impediment will remain. I don't know why they don't have the mind to develop the local government at their own level. It is impossible for state to take charge. As of today, if you ask the chairman, let me say this. At the center, we know how much they have been distributing. They have been sharing. Even the recent one, by fact, is 1.7 trillion. How many of the state governors, how many of the local governments actually come up and inform their people? This is the amount we got from the FAC. Transparency starts from what you get, how you spend it. So these are the issues. If the governors are ready through their state House of Assembly, definitely, whatever the law that the National Assembly has championed, when it goes to their own state, respective states, then doing the needful will make it to be in speedy form. So for me, they need to work hand in hand with the government at the center, the National Assembly, through their House of Assembly. If we have any impediment that can make this autonomy to be impractical in nature, then let us do the needful. If this is only achievement that they are going to record, because it's going to increase the level of good governance at the local level. But with this, if everything is like this, then we won't see the essence of electing the local government, the essence of electing people through the people participation. It remains like the TIC up to this moment in some states.
All right. And that's a fine place to leave the conversation. We must thank you.